we're going to look at multiplying rational numbers, so multiplying fractions. So the first thing that you need to know is that when you're multiplying two numbers that have the same sign, the answer, the product, is going to be positive. So for example, if I'm multiplying two positive numbers, the answer is going to be positive. If I'm multiplying two negative numbers together, the answer is going to be positive, sorry. So two positive multiplied together is going to be positive, and two negatives multiplied together is going to be positive. If I'm multiplying two numbers that have the opposite sign, so if one is negative and the other is positive, my answer, my product, is going to be negative. So you need to remember this, okay? This is something that you need to remember. Okay. So when you're multiplying fractions, you need to multiply numerator multiplied by numerator and denominator multiplied by the denominator. Multiplication is the only operation that you do not need common denominator. So when you're adding, subtracting, or dividing, you need the common denominator when you're doing those operations using fractions, but with multiplications, you do not. Okay. So it says calculate the product. So to do this here, you could do 11 times 21 and then 7 times 44, and then you would have to simplify. But it's way easier to simplify before. You can simplify diagonally. Okay, so that means I can simplify 11 and 44 here. I can say, okay, how many times does 11 go into 44? It goes in 4 times. So I can cancel my 11 out here and replace my 44 with a 4. Same thing here. I can simplify diagonally here. So 7 and 21, 7 goes evenly 3 times into 21. So I'm multiplying two negative numbers together. The answer is going to be a positive. So I have 1 times the 3, so it's 3, and then 1 times 4, which is 4, so my answer is 3/4. Okay, here. Before moving any farther, I need to change these proper fractions into improper fractions. So I need to take my integer, my whole number, and put it on. Well, I need to change this so that it's just an improper fraction. So thirds, how many thirds does it take to make a whole? It takes 3, so I have 2 wholes, so that's 6 thirds. Plus I have another 2, so that's a total of 8 thirds that I'm multiplying with. How many quarters here? So I have 3, and then I have a whole. So to take a whole takes 4 quarters, so that's 7 quarters. And always put your negative for the numerator. Okay? So I have a positive number multiplied by a negative number. Okay? I know my answer is going to be negative. But you could do 8 times 7, 56, and then 3 times 4, which is 12, and then you could have to simplify vertically. But you can also simplify diagonally. So because look, if I see 4 and 8, I can simplify that to 2 and 1 because 4 goes in twice into 8 and 1 into itself. So I just simplify by 4. So then I do negative 2 times negative 7 is negative 14, and 3 times 1 is 3. So that's my answer. Or you could write that as 3 goes into 14 4 times, with a remainder of 2 thirds. So that's the answer, or this. Let's look at a couple more examples. So here, multiplying decimals. So to multiply decimals, you could multiply the 8 and 24, but I think it's easier to change this into tenths. So 8 tenths multiplied by negative 24 tenths. You know your answer is going to be hundredths, right? So 10 times 10 is 100. And you just do 8 times 24. Well, 8 times 24 is you know your answer is going to be negative because there's a positive and a negative. 8 times 20, that's 160. And 8 multiplied by 4, that's 32. So that's 192. So you have 192 hundredths, which can be written as -1 and 92 hundredths. That's how you multiply decimals. Here's your practice. Make sure you check your work behind the book.